She said I was too safe for her startup dreams. 2 years later, she crashed my birthday bragging about regrets. While I introduced her to my fiancée that I used to think I'd dodged the whole Reddit story curse. You know the ones. Years poured into a lopsided relationship. One person always giving, the other always craving more. Some explosive ending with ghosts from the past knocking on your door. Turns out, nobody's immune. I'm Chris, 30 now, but for most of my 20s, I was the safe guy. Not boring, exactly, just steady. Product manager at a med tech company. The sort of person who meal preps on Sunday, hits the gym, actually enjoys board game nights. My parents are public school teachers. I still call my dad for advice about taxes, which is probably why I fell for Jess in the first place. She's the opposite, orbits chaos like it's her native planet. We met at a city hackathon in my mid-20s. She crashed our team's project demo by accident and, in typical Jess fashion, started pitching her business idea in the middle. The room went silent. I thought she was ridiculous. By the end of the night, she had half of us working on her beta app, and I was volunteering to do her debugging. To say I got swept up is an understatement. Jess wore ambition like armor and wielded it as a weapon against her own self-doubt. She was beautiful, loud, endlessly restless. Early on, she told me, I can't do play it safe. My mom gave her life to safe. I want more. I played along. At first it was fun, late nights helping her with interface tweaks, pitching in to pay for WeWork desks when I could. She made me feel daring, like maybe I could be that guy with wild goals and disruptor energy too. We dated 5 years, lived together for 3. My friends teased me. Designed for dadhood, but running code for someone else's dream. But truthfully, I was proud to be the stable one. Jess was all up, down, and sideways. She came home at midnight reeking of late-night networking, then slept through weekends when her startup failed to impress at some demo day. There were real sacrifices. I passed up a client-side leadership opportunity that would have moved us out of state, because now's not the time. When rent was short, her company paid in equity, mostly vapor. I covered. I got her car fixed, bought groceries, paid my half plus hers more often than not. It didn't bother me. At first, I like helping. Jess joked about it. Chris, you're the support package every founder dreams of. 5-star boyfriend, 5-star chef, and you debug. At parties, she called me her LifeOps co-founder with a wink. I'd wave it off, feeling stupidly needed. We talked about the future, sometimes. She'd say things like, if the startup lands, let's travel. Hell, get a dog, see where we end up. Our friends bought houses, some married. She brushed that off. Mortgage, debt, suburbia. That's how you kill a dream. I let it go. Deep down, part of me waited for the day she'd want that safe stuff. I organized bills, learned enough about venture finance to fake small talk at her events, sent her links to pro bono legal counseling, and co-signed on her new laptop. Red flags came in small patterns. She started mentioning this guy, Sam, a consultant with insane energy, always pushing her to be bolder. More nights, networking, with him and others. Her phone suddenly on silent. Stories about pitch runs that turn into sunrise caffeine sessions. I met Sam a few times. He was charming in that way LA transplant guys are, cocky, always in a blazer. He'd clap my shoulder and say, you must be proud. Jess is born for this. The first time, it felt like a compliment. Second time, it felt like a diagnosis. Things changed that last year. Jess became allergic to routine, my schedule, my meal preps, our lazy Friday movie nights. You're so comfortable, Chris. It's like you're preparing for a life you haven't even started living. Sometimes she'd show me inspo couples on Instagram, some influencer and her boyfriend bungee jumping, working remote in Bali or Lisbon, then compare us. See, that's partnership. You build each other's dreams. I offered trips, new experiences. She dismissed them. I want to live, Chris, not fill weekends with distractions from mediocrity. I'd ask if she was happy. She'd sigh, of course. I just need more. The talk I dreaded came right before my 29th birthday. Good timing, I guess. She'd skipped my team's happy hour the night before, texting, big strategy session with Sam. Can't miss, sorry babe. The next morning she was up early, made coffee, looked at me like she'd already rehearsed the speech. Chris, I love you. You've been everything for me. But you're so safe. I need to see if there's a fuller life out there. I think I need to do this on my own. Maybe with Sam, maybe not. I don't want to hurt you. Please, don't make this harder. I waited for the anger or panic, but only felt the breath go out of me. In some twisted way, I wasn't even surprised. I looked around our little apartment, my favorite mug next to her novelty planters, my neat shelf next to her pile of overdue notebooks. 5 years boiled down to it's not you. It's me, plus maybe this new thing. I remember asking, so what about us? The years? My support. She winced. You'll be fine, Chris. You always land on your feet. You deserve better. I'm sorry. I need to live bigger for both of us. That was it. She packed a bag, booked an Airbnb with Sam's friend, and moved out the same weekend. I texted the landlord, covered the next 2 months' rent solo, boxed up her stuff for her sister to pick up. For a week, I shuffled through work, barely speaking. Half our friends went silent. A few of hers sent me DMs. She had to follow her heart. Man, don't take it personal. I blocked them all. Numbness gave way to anger. But beneath it, a strange relief. It was done. The waiting, the holding pattern. It was over. The weeks after Jess left were the slowest of my life. A fog settled in, thick, immobilizing, everything muffled. I went to work, nodded through meetings. Each night I came home to the flat and noticed the absences. The half of the closet emptied. The chaotic mass of her plants, now drooping, unwatered. The cold side of the bed. At first, I went through the motions, canceled her share of the utilities, gathered up dozens of sticky notes with half-erased startup mantras. I opened a cabinet and found a vision board she'd started, travel Polaroids, a printout with 2024, Forbes 30 under 30. A mess of sticky notes. Don't settle. Be hungry. No sign of me anywhere on the photos or the plans. The friends who stayed, mostly my school buddies and a couple of coworkers, kept things simple. They brought over food, beer, and distraction. Come boxing with us, man. You need to get the blood moving. I said yes even when I didn't want to. At night, I listened to sad playlists, played old games, half hoping the world would freeze until I was ready to face it. The hardest parts were always in the quiet. Mornings making coffee for one, going to the grocery store and not instinctively texting Jess to ask what she wanted for dinner. For a while, I tortured myself by checking her socials. She'd blocked me, but mutual friends sent screenshots. There she was, already posting stories from co-founder retreats, rooftop dinners, Sam in nearly every frame. She dazzled for the camera. A few captions, finally going all in on my dream. Don't let anyone hold you back. By month 2, I deleted all her old texts, archived our emails and photos in a backup I never checked. I scrubbed my place of things that screamed us. Her favorite candle, the thrift store blanket we bought for movie nights, a photo strip of us from Coney Island, both of us carefree and naive. I boxed it all and left it with her sister. But the anger never boiled over into bitterness. Therapy, which I'd started quietly a year before, helped more than anything. Even just talking about my guilt and safe man complex. Why had I let years go by, always shrinking my own plans for someone else's dreams? My therapist, a quiet, sharp guy named Alan, listened patiently. Chris, you supported her because you care. That's admirable. But support should go both ways. Stability isn't a flaw. It's a superpower if someone sees it for what it is. It gradually landed. I remember Jess's early warnings, how she admired my steady life and found comfort in it, just to claim it suffocated her later. It wasn't my mediocrity she feared. It was her own. The difference was, I was never running from myself. Time started to move again. At work, I stopped declining invitations out. I got promoted, finally, to lead my own team, a jump I'd held off on for years, in case Jess needed me free for late-night sprints or emergency networking runs. The pay raise meant I could buy a nicer bike, start thinking about someday buying a place, maybe travel. I spent weekends climbing, something Jess always rolled her eyes at. So boring, you just go up and down and get tired. Now, it made me feel alive, the static tension replaced by a simple, physical challenge. I reconnected with old friends, ones Jess had never liked, dead-enders, she'd call them, people fine with ordinary. Turns out, ordinary can be pretty damn good. Even my parents noticed the change. You look lighter, son. Sleeping better. Trying, I'd laugh. The world didn't pivot overnight. There were nights I'd wake from some dream where things ended differently. Jess apologizing, or us just being honest, simple. But each time, I'd remember the ending as it really happened. Her walking out, her comfort with trading 5 years for a chance at someone more exciting. Mutual friends kept me in the digital loop whether I wanted it or not. I learned Jess and Sam went full power couple for a while. Joint startup, matching branding everywhere, digital magazine spreads. Our old crowd oohed and awed. Then, predictably, drama leaked out. Sam, unsurprisingly, couldn't keep it in his pants. They fought, publicly, sometimes drunkenly at tech mixers. Jess unfollowed, then refollowed him. Her stories got less sparkly, more cryptic. Trust, but verify. She posted one night, then nothing for days. 6 months in, Sam announced a new partnership, and Jess was nowhere to be seen. Word trickled down. In group chats, friends of friends, her business imploded. Sam moved to another startup, rumored hookup with a VC's daughter, and Jess's social media went private. I won't pretend I felt joy. Mostly, I just felt nothing. My therapist said it best. Detachment means you're healing, not numb. So I filled my time with new projects, training up an intern who reminded me of myself at 25. Earnest, unsure, looking for an anchor. I tried to be that anchor, but with boundaries. A year passed, then another. I started dating again. Awkward at first, filled with the urge to apologize for being steady, for liking habits and routines. But eventually I met Mia, a graphic designer whose idea of adventure was hiking, jazz bars, perfecting her sourdough. She actually liked that I got the same breakfast at our favorite spot every Saturday. Predictable is sweet, she'd say, squeezing my hand. People who grow roots don't fear the storm. We took it slow. Mia had her own past heartbreaks, her own collection of exes chasing fireworks. We bonded over it. When I told her my story, she didn't flinch, just shrugged. Some people look for the next hit. Some build the thing that lasts. It gave me the confidence to let her in. The new life was quieter, softer. My apartment became ours. My routines became something we built together, not something I sacrificed. Once in a while, Jess would surface in the periphery. A mutual friend mentioned she'd moved home with her folks, taking freelance gigs. Someone else heard she was at a career crossroads, talking about moving to Bali for perspective. I never checked, never reached out. One afternoon, I ran into her sister at a coffee shop. She looked uncomfortable at first, then blurted. She knows she blew up her life, Chris. She says you're happy now. I hope you are. You deserved better. I thanked her, genuinely, and went back to my book. Sometimes, I'd catch myself replaying the final weeks, not to nurse old wounds, but to see how far I'd come. The sadness dulled and settled into perspective. I wasn't angry anymore. I just regretted how long I'd waited for permission to be the real me. The scariest thing? Believing someone else's dreams are more valid than your own. I don't do that anymore that I'd always imagined there'd be a moment. The classic what if movie scene, when Jess might come back, apologize, and somehow everything would make sense. But when it actually happened, it wasn't cinematic. It was messy, awkward, and real. It started just after my 31st birthday. Mia and I had just moved into a new apartment, boxes still lining the hallway, her prints stacked alongside my old climbing gear. We'd cooked a quiet dinner and were sitting on the floor, eating Thai takeout from the containers, laughing about how our taste in lamps clashed. I felt content, more than I could remember in years. That's when my phone buzzed. Unknown number, no caller ID. I almost ignored it, but something told me to check. The text was short, strange. Hey Chris, it's Jess. I know you probably don't want to hear from me, but can we talk? My first reaction was a jolt of old anxiety, like catching a whiff of a scent you haven't smelled in years. I set the phone down. Mia saw my face change, raised an eyebrow. Everything okay? Yeah. I lied. Just a weird work thing. For a night, I let it sit. But the messages kept coming. Email, Instagram, she'd unblocked me. Even a voicemail. The usual script at first. Just hoping you're well. Can we get coffee? I have some things I want to say. Then more desperate. Please. I'm sorry for how things ended. Things are rough right now. I could really use a friend, someone steady. The last part stuck out. Steady. A word she'd used as an insult, suddenly reframed as a lifeline. Against my better judgment, I texted back once. I appreciate you reaching out. I'm doing well. I hope you find what you're looking for. Take care. No meeting. No reply. I told Mia everything. She listened, squeezed my hand, shrugged. She's lost. Doesn't mean you have to open the door to her storm. A week later, Jess escalated. She showed up in my office lobby. It was raining. She'd lost weight, hair messier than I remembered, makeup streaked. My building's security buzzed up. They said my wife was here. I hesitated, then went down. She stood there shivering, arms crossed. Chris, she began, eyes pleading. I know this is out of nowhere, but please, let me talk. I've been going through hell. She launched into her story. Sam dumped her. Business failed. Burned bridges everywhere. She said she'd been wrong, that she missed the comfort and sanity of what we'd had. You were always home, Chris. I took it for granted. I thought I needed fireworks. I just needed someone to be real. I made such a mess. Please, can we at least talk? Something in her tone was off. There was regret, but underneath, a whiff of entitlement. Like her pain was a ticket back into my life. I remembered my own years of sacrifice. Quiet stability spun as a flaw. And all the growth since, the friendships and calm Mia and I had woven. I shook my head gently. I'm sorry, Jess. I wish you well. But I don't think that talking would lead anywhere good for either of us. I hope you heal. But I'm not your safety net anymore. She stared, mouth open. I saw, in a flash, a mix of humiliation and anger, the old Jess flickering. You don't even want to hear me out after everything I went through? Inside, I wanted to say, everything you went through? What about what you put me through? Instead, I shrugged. I've moved on, Jess. And you should too. She didn't try to hug me. Didn't cry. She just left, shoulders tense, shoes already soaked from the rain. Afterward, a strange peace settled over me. I called Mia, confessed the whole thing. She was quiet, then laughed. She came back for boring old Chris? Guess boring's not so bad, huh? I thought that was the end of it. But it wasn't. The party. 6 months later, Mia and I hosted a housewarming party. New job, new start. Most of our friends, some mutuals, mostly my new climbing and work friends. The place was full of laughter and sunlight. Mia's parents came, her dad in a Hawaiian shirt, already grilling on the balcony. Halfway through the afternoon, as lawn games wound down and music played, I saw someone at the gate. Jess. Some old mutual friend must have invited her, not knowing. Or maybe she'd seen the invite float around online. She hovered on the edge, nervous, scanning for a familiar face. I braced myself, feeling for the first time a rush of irritation, not just at her, but at the idea that she might get to hijack the day. She finally made her way over when I stepped into the kitchen for beers. Her voice was low, tight. Nice place. Looks stable, she tried to joke. I didn't rise to the bait. Glad you could make it, I said neutral. Feel free to grab something to eat. That's Mia, by the way, my partner. Jess's eyes flickered from me to Mia, who was talking with my parents, already at ease in a way I'd never seen Jess manage. She turned back, desperation on her face. Chris, look. I screwed everything up. I see what you had now. What I lost. I thought I could chase fireworks forever, but I just ended up burned out, alone. I don't expect anything. I just want you to know I'm sorry. You deserve better. I've been in therapy. I'm trying to get my life straight. For a second, I saw the girl I'd first met. Ambitious, flawed, desperately searching for her path. And I felt something like compassion, but no longing. I nodded. I hope you keep working on yourself, Jess. Sometimes growing up means knowing when to let go. I'm happy now, truly. You should try for your own happiness, not just chase someone else's. She bit her lip, tried to smile, then left the kitchen. She didn't stay much longer. I saw her slip out, quietly. Mia came over, beer in hand, leaning into me. All good, she asked. Yeah, I grinned. Everything's right where it should be. That night, as we cleaned up, I realized the old story had finally ended, not with anger or vindication, but with a kind of relief. The wildness Jess craved didn't destroy me. It just set me free. The stability she mocked is now my anchor, and for the first time, it feels like a superpower, not a flaw.